Hello everyone. Today I wanted to make a video talking about my favorite movie, The Prince of Egypt. I know that this movie is one of the most beloved movies as it has great songs and it's faithful to its real story. But let's go over a plan for how this video will work. We first start with an introduction, then move to story, characters / comparing to real people, movies inaccuracies, songs, can Christians watch this movie, and conclusion. With everything out of the way, let's begin. Introduction. The Prince of Egypt is an animated 2D movie directed by Brenda Chapman, Steve Hickner, and Simon Wells, and written by Philip Lazebnik, from a story by Kelly Asbury and Lorna Cook. The movie was released on December 16, 1998. The movie is beloved by everyone, not just Christians, but also people who aren't religious, which just shows how good the movie was. But now let's move to the story. The story takes place in the book of Exodus of the Bible, where we follow the story of Moses trying to free his people from the Pharaoh and Egypt. I do like that this movie, while it did had inaccuracies, but mostly it was accurate towards the real Moses story, with him being raised by Pharaoh's daughter, fleeing from Egypt, marrying Zipporah, God appearing to him as a burning bush, returning to Egypt to free his people, the 10 plagues of Egypt, the parting of the Red Sea, and Moses on mountain holding 10 commandments. While some parts were changed or cut out, but let's move to the characters chapter. Characters / comparing to real people. We'll start with our main protagonist, then we'll move to supporting characters and the antagonist, while explaining what's different between the movie and the Bible. Moses, our protagonist, while in the movie, is similar to the real Moses, but there are inaccuracies. When we first meet Moses, we see him as a rebellious adult who would get himself and Ramesses in trouble, but everything changed after he found out that he was a Hebrew and found out what his adoptive father did to Hebrew children and killed a man while it was an accident. While in the Bible Moses' childhood is not mentioned, and he did killed an Egyptian and tried to hide him, and he ran away to fled Egypt and escape Pharaoh's death penalty. I also want to give a big thank you to the actor Val Kilmer, who did a great job voicing him, but unfortunately, Val Kilmer passed away in 2025. Rest in peace. Now we move to supporting characters. Aaron, Moses' brother, is different compared to the Bible, as he was Moses' assistant. Meanwhile, in the movie, when we meet him after Moses returned to Egypt, he is angry at Moses for Ramesses extending their work hours. But later, after Moses, with God's help, turns the Nile River into blood, he starts to follow him. Moses' sister, just like Aaron, is also different from the Bible, as in the Bible, her name is not mentioned, but she is traditionally identified as Miriam. After the Pharaoh's army is destroyed, she becomes a prophetess when she leads the Hebrews in the Song of the Sea. Meanwhile, in the movie, she supports Moses. Zipporah, Moses' wife, in the Bible she doesn't have a backstory, as her father gave her to Moses in marriage. She saves Moses' life after she circumcises her son with a sharp stone and touches Moses' feet with a foreskin, saying, "Surely you are a husband of blood to me," and God then left Moses alone. This happened because God was threatening to kill Moses. This is because Moses had not circumcised his son. While in the movie, Zipporah and Moses have a backstory. At first, she was captured by the Egyptians, and after the incident, Moses felt guilt and tried to apologize, but she tried to escape, and when Moses saw her, he distracted the guards, and after Moses fled Egypt and found Midian, where, during a Through Heaven's Eyes music sequence, Moses helped Jethro and his people, and we see Zipporah and Moses as small glimpses of their romance, and they get married, and after God told Moses to return to Egypt, she decided to join his journey. Jochebed, Moses, Aaron, and Miriam's mom, in the Bible, hid Moses for 3 months until she couldn't hide him. She put the child in a waterproof basket and placed the basket in the Nile River, where the basket reached Pharaoh's daughter. Soon, the sister of the child suggested finding a Hebrew nurse to care for the child. The sister called her mother and was appointed, and Jochebed nursed him until he was old enough and was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. Meanwhile, in the movie, Jochebed makes one appearance in the beginning, and the last time we hear her sing is when Moses is on the mountain with the 10 commandments. Jethro, Zipporah's father and Moses' father-in-law. While there is not much information about him in the Bible, we know that he was a priest of Midian. Meanwhile, in the movie, we see him as a wholesome priest, especially during the Through Heaven's Eyes music sequence, as he shows not only how much he is a good and loyal priest to our Lord, but also a great person. Now for the antagonist of the movie. Ramesses II, the antagonist of the movie. While in the Bible, we don't know who the Pharaoh is, as he is never named. We don't even know who the Pharaoh was before Moses fled Egypt. Meanwhile, in the movie, at first, we see Moses and Ramesses being brothers, and the Pharaoh was Seti, but after Moses kills an Egyptian, Ramesses tries to stop Moses by saying that he can make that go away, as he is back sun in the morning. Sometime later, Moses returns, now a pharaoh. He immediately greets him as a brother and a prince of Egypt. But after Moses says that he wants to free his people, but Ramesses feeling betrayed and not wanting his actions to collapse the empire, he refuses Moses' request many times during the 10 plagues of Egypt. He continues to refuse to let the Hebrews go. It's also highlighted during the 10 plagues song. He says, "Let my heart be hardened," as in the Bible Exodus 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 14 it mentions that Pharaoh hardened his heart. While in the movie, the reason he does this is because of his father, Seti, who taught him that he must not be weak. But after the final plague, the death of the firstborn, which took his son, Ramesses agrees to let them go. Still, once Moses and his people reach the Red Sea, Ramesses with his army returns to attack, but God blocks them with a pillar of fire. Moses parts the Red Sea with his staff. As the Hebrews cross through the sea, the fire vanishes, and the army chases after them, but the sea closes. It drowns the Egyptian army, while Ramesses' fate is unknown. But there is a scene where Ramesses yells at the sky for Moses, but in the Bible, Pharaoh's fate is unknown. Those are the characters from the movie, and how they are compared to real people. Now, let's move to inaccuracies in the Bible. Inaccuracies. While the movie is very good and well animated, there were inaccuracies from the Bible that weren't in the movie. The first is Moses and Ramesses' brotherhood. Though in the movie, we see Moses and Ramesses being brothers even after Moses returns. Ramesses sees him as a brother until Moses reveals why he returned, which is inaccurate. We don't know who Pharaoh was before Moses fled Egypt, and after he returned in the Bible, he is only mentioned as Pharaoh, and we don't know who the old and new were. The second is that we also don't know what Moses' childhood was like, and after Moses accidentally killed an Egyptian, Ramesses pleaded with him to stay. Meanwhile, in real life, this wasn't an accident. Moses killed an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew and tried to escape, as the old Pharaoh would sentence him to the death penalty. The third is when Moses returned to Egypt and reached the Pharaoh, he was with his wife, while in real life, when Moses went to the Pharaoh, he was with his brother Aaron. The fourth is when God tried to kill Moses after he didn't circumcise his son. Also, Moses had two sons, Gershom, Exodus 18:3, and Eliezer, Exodus 18:4, but they aren't in the movie. I think this is a reason why this scene isn't in the movie. The fifth is Ramesses' fate. Like I said, we don't know who Pharaoh was and his true fate. The sixth is opening when Jochebed, after she put the basket in the Nile River, the basket with the child was found by Pharaoh's daughter. Miriam offered to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child. Jochebed nursed him until he was old enough and was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. I mention this because this detail is not mentioned in the movie. The seventh is that in the movie, while Moses' age is not revealed, but he looks like he is in his 20s or 30s, while in real life, when Moses returned, he was 80 years old. This is mentioned in Exodus 7:7, but those are the inaccuracies that I found. Let's move to another chapter. Songs. The Prince of Egypt has a lot of amazing songs, as they are well written and greatly sung by the actors. In the movie, we have many songs, but the 6 songs that are music sequences are Deliver Us, All I Ever Wanted, Through Heaven's Eyes, Playing with Big Boys, The Plagues, and When You Believe. As I said, the songs are well written and well sung, as you can feel Moses' pain during the 10 Plagues of Egypt song, Ramesses' anger during the same part. While I don't have anything bad to say about these songs, like I said, they are well done. My favorite is Through Heaven's Eyes and 10 Plagues. I also want to mention that, while listening to Deliver Us and 10 Plagues, I got chills, which just shows how good the songs are. But let's move to our question. Can Christians watch this movie? The answer is 100% yes. While this movie is not fully accurate, it is still a great adaptation of Moses' story. This just shows how you can adapt a great story to a movie, while still showing respect towards Moses and our Lord. One question I wonder is, what would the real Moses' reaction to this movie be? Would he like it or not? Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.